Alright, let's go. So, this is your submission. If I remember correctly, the question was you recently purchased something online, but there was a problem with it. Write an email to your friend and you should tell why you purchased it and what was wrong with it and what you have decided to do about it. Right?
Yes.
And should be between 120 to 160 words. So it is giving me a word count. It is not giving me a word count. How do I get a word count out of this? Okay. So this is 186. Display word count while typing. Yes, please do that. Okay. Now I hand it over here. Alright, your total words are 198. The actual text that we're interested in is 186 words, which is over the limit, but yeah, let's see the content and then we'll decide if we want to try and bring it lower. Again, right, so the upper limit is 160 words. You can go over the limit, you will not be penalized, you will not lose marks just because you wrote more, right? What students normally struggle with is when they're writing more, as I mentioned earlier. First of all is time management, so they're spending more time on writing this, and secondly is when they're writing more, it's usually irrelevant detail or they're just repetitions, and then the quality of writing goes down. If you're not having these two problems, then you're good, right? But then again, it would be advisable not to go very much over the limit, right? I mean, okay, 160, 180 still works, but not to do like 200 and something, 200 plus, right? That would not be advisable. Okay, now let's read this. So the good thing is that you have not copied the questions, right? So that's a good thing. Did you attach like an image over here? Oh, handwritten.
Yes.
Okay, so proof that you wrote it by hand.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. Alright, by the way, hi Rohan, hope you are doing good. Sorry for not writing to you for a while. I had been busy with work. Now, what is this suggesting? I have been busy with work. It works. Right? But had been busy would suggest that you are no longer busy. So I could ignore it as well. Action. I had recently bought a scientific calculator from Amazon. I really needed a calculator as it is mandatory to have one for my maths, physics and chemistry exams. I had gone through many calculators online and selected a Casio calculator. Actually. However, as you both know, things never go the way we want them to. And it happened again. I ordered a FX991 ES Plus calculator, but I received the FX991 MS. Although both of the calculators are allowed at Cambridge and there aren't any differences amongst them except for the appearance, I would really like to get what I actually ordered. As for now, I have decided to raise a complaint against the seller and request a refund. And if that doesn't work out, I'll sell the calculator online for some profit and buy the calculator I want. This way I can get what I want by also making some profit. Anyway, let me know when you are free. We need to hang out together someday. Take care. Okay, the content itself is good. There are some technical improvements that are required. Okay, so I'll highlight them first, explain them to you, and then we'll get into doing the actual corrections. Alright? So, I'm going to read this again, highlighting where I feel corrections are required or improvements. So hope you are doing good. That works. Hope you are doing well. Right? Perhaps that will be better. Sorry for not writing to you for a while. I've been busy with work. Okay. Now we're using a lot of had. You could get rid of the had. I recently bought. If you want to upgrade your vocabulary, you could say purchased or ordered, right? Because it's an online thing. So I recently ordered a scientific calculator from Amazon. I really needed one, right? So now since you mentioned that it's a scientific calculator, you don't need to repeat that I really needed a calculator. If you say I really needed one, that is referring back to the thing you're going to, the thing that you bought, that you've already mentioned. I really needed one as it is mandatory to have one. Now, as it is mandatory to have one, is like they're telling you, oh well, because you've taken maths, you need to have it because math. No, I mean, right? You could say it like because it is a requirement to be able to do math and physics and chemistry. Right? It's not an exam requirement. I mean, you can very well walk into the exam, and they're not going to stop you. Okay.
Okay.
So they're not going to stop you from taking the exam. They're like, yeah, okay, fine, you're here, here's your exam, deal with it. Right? If you didn't bring a calculator, too bad. So it's not like mandatory, like they're going to check, oh, you're coming for your math exam, you don't have your calculator, we're not going to let you enter the examination hall. That's not how it's going to be. Right? So maybe we could rephrase that and say that I really needed one as it is required for all the calculations we need to do in math, physics and chemistry. Right? And obviously that would entail, and you don't need to say that in words, that since you need it for the calculations in those subjects, then you'll obviously be taking it for the exam as well, because the examination will have calculations. Right? So not everything needs to be spoken in words. Okay. I had gone through many calculators online. Instead of saying gone through, you can say I had browsed over many calculators online and selected a Casio. Now Casio you have written in full caps. You don't need to do that. Right? Maybe you did that because the way Casio is written on their products is all caps. That's just their logo. Right?
Okay.
So, right, you can just have the C capital because it is a proper noun, it is the name of a company, it is the name of a brand, so it's a proper noun, but the ASIO can be lowercase, or should be lowercase in that, right? However, as you both know, things never go the way we want them to. Right? Instead of saying never, we could say rarely, right? Or we could say often. Instead of rarely, right? As we both know, things often don't go the way we want them. Right? So it happens a lot, not always. Right? Instead of saying never, means that it doesn't happen at all, right? Like what you plan on doing doesn't happen at all, ever. And that's not the case, right? And if you
Yes.
right, we could even change this further. That, however, as you both know, online purchases often don't, go smoothly. You could rephrase it that way, right? Making it more specific to this particular scenario. Right?
Okay.
So I'm just explaining this to you right now, and then we'll actually go in and edit it, right? Which is the purpose of why I asked you to upload it on Google Docs. And it happened again. So we could do without this line. So I ordered, and you put in the right model number, calculator, but I received this model. Although we can lose the comma, so punctuations also matter. Although both the calculators are allowed by Cambridge, and there aren't any differences among them except for the appearance. Now here you've put a full stop. This is where you would want a comma, right? I would really like to get what I actually ordered. Okay. As for now, I have decided to raise a complaint. Instead of complaining, I mean, you could, right, obviously, but you could say I have, reached out to the seller and requested a refund.
Okay.
And if that doesn't work out, I'll sell the calculator online for some profit and buy the calculator I want. Okay, fine. I mean, like, sure. Now the last line is basically repetition. That way I can get what I want by also making a profit. Now this is basically you're repeating what you just said in the previous line, and repetitions are common when students write whatever task it is, and it's something we don't want, right? Whether it's the repetition of words, like I pointed out over here when you mentioned scientific calculator and then you mentioned calculator again, so whether it's a word that's being repeated multiple times, or if it's an idea that is being repeated multiple times. Excuse me. Okay, so we can definitely do without the entire line. Anyway, let me know when you are free. We need to hang out together somewhere or sometime soon, right? Take care. You want a comma after that, and then a fan, you want a full stop after that. Okay, so those are my suggestions for improvements. Now, right, let's actually get to it. Okay, now here is a bit of technical detail. Words like hi or hey or hello, when you're starting with those, or if you're using them in your writing and you're mentioning someone's name after that, right? So you want to add a comma after the hi as well, right? And I don't know if it's because how do I zoom in? Do I get to zoom in? Alright, so you can see that whatever I'm placing in is coming in as green. Achha, there's a particular name for this. I did look it up recently, but then I forgot. The vocative comma. Okay. Alright, so it's called the vocative comma, and it's because you are going to refer to someone and they've given the example over hi Michael. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Or hi or hello or hey, right? Hi and stuff like that. Here and okay, there. Okay, hope you are doing good. We can say good or we can say well. Hope you're doing well. I'm sorry for not writing to you for a while. Now instead of a comma, what would be better over here is if you used, for example, a dash. I have been busy with it. Right? Or you could use say since I had been busy with work. But you know the good thing about punctuations, if you know how to use them properly, and that's a grammar thing I will go into in classes soon, right? Because I want to get the grammar out of the way. Well, I don't say out of the way. I want to cover a grammar review earlier on so that we can put it to use in our writings. The good thing about punctuations is that they don't count as words. Right, so I can say since I had been busy with work, but that will add to the word count. Right, so I can just put a dash over there, and it's going to give me a similar effect in my writing. And I'm okay with the word count. It's not adding to the word count. Punctuations don't count. Okay.
Okay.
So I recently, I bought, I would use purchase now. There's nothing wrong with bought, let me be clear. Right? I am striking that out for use of a better word. Purchased a scientific calculator from Amazon. I really needed one, so we'll talk about that. You can say I really needed one, or I really needed it, as it is required for my maths, physics and chemistry calculations, right? Not exams. Oh, another thing, because you're writing maths, physics and chemistry, and these are proper nouns in the sense that they are the name of subjects, and so you want to have them capitalized, right? That would be the way to go. And I see that you added a comma before the and that's good, right? Okay. I had gone through, I had browsed through many calculators, you could say that, or if you don't want to use that word, that's also possible. So you could, so I had browsed through many different models online, or many different types online, or many different variations online, right? So and selected a KCU, so as I mentioned, you don't need all caps for this one. Alright, now since you're mentioning KCU calculator, what I would do over here is I would actually remove it again, because we're using the word calculator, right? It's repeating over and over again. That's not something I want. We want actually. Okay, so however, we both know things often don't go the way we want them to, right? So removing the never. Often don't, and again it's we could do online purchasing often doesn't.
Or sir, it could be online purchases.
Yeah, so online purchasing often doesn't go the way we want it to. So over here we could, if you want online purchases, so if you want that, right, in that case this would become don't go the way we want them to. We don't need the B over here. We can do completely without this line. And then you're mentioning, okay, so I ordered the FX. Now I don't know about the plus. I mean, if that's the name with the capital plus, if that's the how they represent the model, by the written down the actual model number, then I will not change the all caps for the plus. If that's something you've written, then again, right, so the LUS for the plus would be lowercase. So I don't know how that model number is actually given on their website, so I'm going to leave it as that. Right? But I received the FX 991 MS. although both of those, both of them, in fact, you don't even need both of them. In fact, although both are, again, so this is how we, uh, bring our word count down. If you read the sentence without of the calculators, right? Although both of the calculators are allowed by Cambridge, right? Or you read it, although both are allowed by Cambridge, is there any ambiguity in terms of what the sentence is trying to tell you, or is the meaning the same?
No,
Right? You can say,
it's the same.
yeah. So that is how we bring our word limit down, because, right, normally when we write, uh, right, we tend to use more words than we actually need to get our point across. So when we go and we revisit and be critical about it and we think, well, do I need to say it this way, or can I make it shorter and still get the point across? Okay. So obviously I am like a third person in this case, so I'm an outside checker, and so it's more challenging to correct your own work, because, right, I wouldn't find a mistake in my own work. It would be difficult for me, but someone else, right, it would be easier for them, because they have no attachment to the work, right? That attachment may be the fact that I wrote it, right? There's no emotional attachment of any sort. It's just that I wrote it, right? So it's more challenging for me to pick out my own mistakes. But that is something, that a skill that you need to develop, because when you work on your own, you will need to be able to, right, do that.
Okay.
So although both are allowed by Cambridge, and there aren't any differences between them, not amongst them. Yeah, so there aren't any differences between them. Okay, change the entire thing. Between them, except for their appearance, right? And this I am going to change to a comma. I would really like to get what I actually wanted. So as for now, I have decided to, again, raising a complaint against the seller is fine, and that is something that you can do when an order doesn't come through the way you want, like properly.
Yeah, but still, I feel it's a bit too offensive.
Well, not offensive, but it's a bit drastic, I would say, right? That the first thing you want to do immediately as soon as your order goes wrong is to lodge a complaint, right? You can initially reach out, right? Okay, fine, this is what I ordered, this is what I got, right? There's a mistake that's been made. Please either, have it exchanged or give me a refund, right? So both options are available, because at the end of the day, you want the correct model, right?
Yeah.
So, right, I'm only suggesting that because it's a bit drastic to immediately launch a complaint. Again, you can very well do that, right? There's nothing wrong with it. So since you're both on the same page, I have decided to contact. Okay? So I decided to contact the seller and request. Now, if you just want a refund, that's fine. If you want to add that, maybe an exchange, right? So I get the proper item. You can leave it at refund. It's completely fine, because see, remember, whatever content you're giving needs to appear proper to the reader as a stand-alone piece of writing. Okay, it's the writer should not be asking questions. Well, couldn't you put an exchange over there? No, that's not the point for the writer, right? And you don't need to give all the readers, nor is the writer, so the reader or the examiner in this case, the teacher, that's me, right? They're not going to go and check your, they're not going to come over to your home and actually check whether you ordered a calculator from Amazon and if any of this actually happened. Right? Of course it didn't. I mean, it could have, but that's not the point of the task. The point of the task is to see whether you're able to write an email and you're going to do it properly according to format and organization and the requirements of English language. Okay.
Okay.
Alright, so I'm going to leave refund as it is. That's fine. Alright, if that's what you want to do. And if that doesn't work out, I'll sell the calculator online for some profit and buy the one I want. Alright, so again, calculator is being repeated over here. So cross that out. Buy the one I want. Now, as I mentioned, we don't need this line at all. We can do without it. Anyway, let me know when you are free. We need to hang out together. Acha. Take care, comma, Afan, full stop. Now, one thing that we need to add to this is your writing is a bit formal, right? So you need to make it look like an informal piece of writing.
Okay.
All right. How are you going to do that? Well, right, informal language, as was mentioned in that sample email, right, the Cambridge document. I don't know if you went over it again. It's available on my drive. So, right, informal language includes figurative language like idioms and metaphors and stuff. It includes relaxed vocabulary, right, not like stiff vocabulary and stuff like the regular everyday use vocabulary, and it also includes contractions. So even the work you've written is very much correct according to English, but you want to purposely make it look informal. You want to make it look and sound informal because that is the task. It is an informal email and that is something examiners will be checking. Right? So how are we going to do that? You are, right? I'm going to change that to your. Doing well. Right, sorry for not writing to you for a while. I had been busy or I'd been busy, but I can leave this one because we have got other places. Now that doesn't mean that every single instance where you can use a contraction you do. Right? Sometimes even in informal situations you would want to spell it out because the effect of saying you are and your is different. Right? So I'm going to leave this one as it is. Let's see where else can we use contractions. I recently purchased, okay, so we can do one over here. I had browsed, and what we can do is I'd browsed. Right, so I had becomes I. Too many calculators unselected. Right, main different models. Okay. Another thing we can cut out over here is the I. Right, so as you can see, the second time I'm going over this, I'm making some more changes to it. Now the reason I cut out the I, the pronoun, is because you've got this over here at the beginning. I ordered a FX calculator but received, right? So who's the one who received it? The conjunction you're using, the way the sentence is, right, the meaning is becoming clear that I'm the one who ordered it and I'm the one who received it, right? It's not someone else. And so I don't need to repeat the pronoun in that case.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Alright. Now the both are allowed by Cambridge and there aren't. So yeah, so you've used a contraction over here, so that's good. Any differences between them? Except for their appearance, right? You could change this to id as well. Now here's the thing. How I changed I had to id, and I changed I would to id. So the contraction is the same, right? But the actual word that I contracted, one was I had and one was I would. How am I going to tell them apart? Any idea?
So could you repeat again?
Over here, I changed I had to id contraction,
Yeah, like, and then you did it for I would also, like,
and
uh,
it's the same id.
yeah, it's the same. But then when you read it, you instantly know that in what sense is I'd use here.
Excellent, excellent, right? So basically, this is developing an understanding of the language, right? And when you do that, you're going to read it and you're going to understand. Oh well, I'd browse is not I would browsed, I had browsed, and I'd really like is not I had really like, it's I would really like. There is a bit of grammatical point to it as well, right? The word browsed is a past participle, which is the one that follows a had, whereas, right, after would you don't have past participles coming in. In fact, you have, verbs like, right, the like, because really is, right, a descriptive adverb adjective category, and so this would have been like if it were in had. I had really liked, but it's like, it's in its base form, and so that also hints towards the fact that this is not had but a would. So there is the grammatical aspect as well, but again, we're not always thinking in terms of grammar, so just the general sense of understanding a language. Okay, as for now, I have, so again, right, we can change that to I, and I'm making, right, we are making an extra effort of adding these contractions to make it sound informal. Right, I'll sell the calculator, so that's already done. And you let me know when you are free, so we're going to make, change that to your again. Right, and we're done. Now, let's read it once with the corrected parts on you. Okay? So, hi Rohan. Hope you're doing well. Sorry for not writing to you for a while. I had been busy with work. I recently purchased a scientific calculator from Amazon. I really needed one as it is required for my maths, physics, and chemistry calculations. I browsed through many different models online and selected a Casio calculator. However, as you both know, online purchases often don't go the way we want them to. Acha, now, right, uh, we could change this the way we want, or, right, often don't go you can do that as well, right? Often don't go as expected. So you can say often don't go the way we want them to, or you could say often don't go as expected. One plus point for the second one is that it's fewer words. Often don't go the way we want them to. That's 9 words. Often don't go as expected. That's 5 words. That's 4 words less. Again, right? So bringing the word count within the limit. But either is fine. I ordered a FX991 ES Plus calculator, but received the FX991 MS. Oh, right. The comma after although needs to go. Again, that's like a grammatical point which I will cover in one of our classes. Although both are allowed by Cambridge and there aren't any differences between them except for their appearance, I'd really like to get what I actually ordered. As for now, I've decided to contact the seller and request a refund. And if that doesn't work out, I'll sell the calculator online for some profit and buy the one I want. Anyway, let me know when you are free. We need to hang out together somewhere. You could do somewhere, or you could do sometime soon. Take care, and you're signing off. Right? Do you feel that there's an improvement?
Yes, a lot.
Okay, so that's good. That's exactly what we want. Now, right, we worked through this together, and right, the point is that I'm going to return this to you, so you're going to get this back. Right? So that's done. And the point is that now later, right, not necessarily immediately after class, but a bit later, maybe over the weekend, you take us some time, and then you compare what you can do is on paper, on a separate paper, you can rewrite the letter minus the things I've cut out, and you rewrite it the modified or the improved or the corrected with the corrections. Okay, and then you compare those two. Okay, fine, this is what I originally wrote, and this is what the teacher gave back, right, with all the suggestions. And then you study the changes I've made. And I'm sure you were paying attention, obviously, but you study the changes that I've made and you learn from them. That is the point. Excuse me. So the point is learning how to do that. So the next time you're writing and the next time you review your work before submitting it, because we talked about the writing process, you do a rough draft and then you review it, and then you do a final draft and submit it. Your final draft will still have corrections to be made, and so that's where I come in. But the next time you write something, if you learned from the previous work, and obviously this is just the first work you've done, but if you're learning, your writing will improve over time, and that is obviously what we want to do. Alright?
Okay, sir. And as for the one I wrote before, out of 15, there's content and language marks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for that, how much would you give me, according to my according to the one I did before?
Beta, dekho, I'm not going to give you any marks right now, maybe not even later. Okay, maybe near the end. Say? And
Okay.
also like only like occasionally, because right, when I'm helping you improve, right, I will obviously try to take you to as the best you know level I can, right? So we can talk about marks later on. I mean, this is just your first attempt, so there's no point. Okay, for now,
Okay.
only thing you need to focus on is learning and improving. That's it.
Okay.
See, the thing is, if you practice properly, marks will follow. If you put in the effort, marks will follow, right? So don't work focused on getting marks, like how many marks will this get. Focus on, you know, again, learning and improving. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so that's end. I'll end today's class because we don't have much time to work. Alright, so the next class I will go into some grammar, and then also we'll look at exercise 6 of the specimen.
Okay.
Alright, so I'll see you next time inshallah.
Love is.
See you, man.